the Norwegian coast around the year 900. A man is pulling an oar through water cold enough to stop your heart, and he has been pulling it since before sunrise. His palms tore open hours ago. You can see the salt working into the wounds, and he does not slow down because 30 men are matching his rhythm, and the ship only lives if the rhythm holds. Tomorrow this same body will haul timber. Next week it will swing an axe in a fight. No coach built this man, no scientist fed him, and no doctor's coming if he breaks. Yet, when we dig his skeleton up 1,000 years later, it stops researchers cold. Dense bone, old fractures healed clean, a frame built to take punishment. Here is the uncomfortable truth this video unpacks. Modern sports science, with all its money and machines, cannot build what this man simply became. And the reason why is hiding in his childhood. Let's start with the man himself, because he is not who you think he is. The average man of the Viking age stood around 173 centimeters, about 5'8". That is an average, of course, and averages hide the outliers, because some skeletons come out of the ground small and worn, and a few come out enormous, past 190 centimeters of bone, with muscle anchors like tree roots. But the typical man was no giant. He was shorter than a modern Scandinavian by a good 7 or 8 centimeters. Ordinary height, ordinary genetics. And that is exactly what makes his skeleton so disturbing to look at, because the bones do not look ordinary at all. Where muscle once anchored to bone, the surface is thickened and roughened like weathered rope, and the arm and leg shafts are far thicker than they have any right to be. Many researchers read those marks as one thing: a lifetime of relentless physical work, written permanently into the skeleton. This is not a man who trained. This is a man who was forged. Now step into one of his days, just one. You wake in the dark, and the first job is water, hauled uphill in wooden buckets before anything else happens. Then the boat needs launching, which means your shoulder against wet timber weighing more than a car, feet sliding in cold gravel, until the hull finally gives and slides. After that, hours at the oar. Then the catch, dragged ashore, gutted, carried. In a northern summer, the daylight runs 16 hours, and the work runs every one of them. There is no recovery day coming. There is only tomorrow, which looks exactly the same. And failure was not a bad workout. Failure was a debt someone else paid. If your arms give out mid-crossing, 30 men slow down in water that kills in minutes. If your back fails at harvest, your family walks into winter with half a barrel of grain, and winter does not negotiate. Your body was the single most valuable tool you would ever own, and everyone you loved was counting on it working. Which is where the legend collapses and something better takes its place. We love the idea of Vikings as a breed apart, bigger by birth, stronger by blood. The skeletons refused to play along. Genetically, these were ordinary Europeans, of ordinary height, gifted nothing the rest of us missed, and that makes what they built far more impressive, not less. Starting in childhood, they hammered a plain human body into something so hard it still humbles the people who study it, because the alternative was an early grave. No laboratory has ever copied how. Picture the worst hour of it. The wind has died somewhere off the coast, the sail hangs useless, and a current is dragging the ship toward rocks you can already hear. There is exactly one engine left on board, and it is muscle. 30 men drop onto the benches, and now every stroke matters. Legs driving first, hips rolling through, back and shoulders taking the load, hands finishing the pull. Miss your timing and your oar tangles the man behind you. Ease off, and the whole ship feels it. So nobody eases off, not for 1 hour, not for 3. A man whose arms give out here drowns the 30 men trusting the bench beside them. That is what a Viking body was really for. That motion, repeated across a lifetime, built more of the Viking body than anything else. Modern coaches know exactly why, and it is the reason a rowing machine sits in every serious gym on earth, because rowing loads nearly the whole body in one chain, against real resistance, stroke after stroke. The difference is what happens afterward. An athlete rows 40 minutes and climbs off for a smoothie. The Viking session ended when the ship was safe, and his next one started whenever the sea decided. And this is the part the fitness magazines skip. Rowing was only one face of it, because the work never stopped and never kept the same shape twice. 1 week, it was the shield wall, shoulder to shoulder against a line of pushing men. The next, it was dragging a long ship overland on log rollers, splitting frozen timber, or hauling a seal up through a hole in the ice. From boyhood to old age, the load kept coming, and the body had to answer every form of it. You can watch an echo of it right now. As I record this, Norway are rowing their way through the 2026 World Cup with a celebration called the Viking Row. Players dropping onto the pitch to pull imaginary oars to a drum beat, the way a long-ship crew once pulled toward battle. On the pitch, it is pure joy. 1,000 years ago, it was the line between reaching shore and vanishing into the sea. So here is a question worth chewing on. Was this training, or was it just life? I'll plant my flag and say calling it exercise almost insults it, because a body built by necessity is precisely what makes it impossible to copy. But plenty of you will tell me the body doesn't care why you load it, only that you do. Go on then. Tell me who is right in the comments. I actually read them. Follow that same man home because the work is only half the story. He drops onto a bench in the longhouse, and what lands in front of him would make a modern sports nutritionist go quiet. A slab of dried cod, hard as a roof shingle, nearly pure protein. A bowl of skyr, the thick, sour dairy Iceland still eats today, packed with more protein than most modern yogurts. Butter, cheese, whey to drink. He is not thinking about any of it. He is just eating what a northern farm and a cold sea produce. Look at what that plate is actually doing. The protein repairs the muscle he tore apart on the benches that day. The dairy floods him with calcium, the raw material of bone, and the oily fish carries the rare ingredient that makes the whole system work, vitamin D, one of the only foods in nature rich in it. Vitamin D is the key that lets the body take calcium and actually lay it down as dense, hard bone. Protein for the muscle, calcium for the frame, vitamin D to lock it in place. We dug into how this food carried them through winter in one of our earlier videos. What matters here is different. This was the raw material a legendary skeleton was literally built from. And this is the part that stings a little if you have ever bought a tub of protein powder. Today's elite pays a squad of specialists serious money to engineer that exact formula, measured to the gram. The Viking landed on it with a cow, a cod, and absolutely no idea he was being clever. No app, no macros, just supper. But the food was doing one more job, the quiet one. Every torn muscle, every stressed bone, every wound from a life of heavy hauling needed protein and minerals to knit back together, and the table delivered them day after day, meal after meal. The body broke down by daylight and rebuilt itself by dark over and over for decades, which drags the real question of this whole story out into the open. What happened when the damage was too big for supper to fix? What happened when the bone actually snapped? Because that, the broken body, and what a Viking did next, is the most astonishing thing in this entire video, and it is minutes away. If this is the kind of history you wish more channels bothered to get right, one tap on the like button tells YouTube to put it in front of more people like you. Costs you nothing. Now for the fact that cracks the title wide open, and it starts with a child. Watch a Viking farm on any morning, and you will see him, a boy of 6 or 7, hauling 2 buckets of water up from the stream, and the buckets are too heavy for him, which is exactly the point. Nobody is coddling him, and nobody is showing off either. The farm simply needs the water, and he is old enough to carry it. Tomorrow, he carries it again. By 10, he is stacking firewood and wrestling goats. By 12, he is pulling a light oar, and by 15, he is doing a man's share of everything. His body never gets a childhood off. Now look at what that was doing to him, because this is where modern science leans in. Bone is not dead scaffolding, it is living tissue that rebuilds itself to match the loads you put on it, a principle called Wolff's Law, after the 19th century surgeon who first described it. Stress a bone and it answers, laying down fresh material exactly along the lines of that stress, growing denser and stronger right where the work happens. And the window when this matters most is childhood, while the skeleton is still forming. Load a growing bone, and the strength gets written into its architecture permanently. That boy with the buckets was not just doing chores. He was pouring the foundation of a skeleton that would carry him across oceans. And this, right here, is why no laboratory can build you a Viking body, no matter the budget. Modern science can grow muscle, sharpen a heart, and tune a diet to the gram. What it cannot do is travel back and reload the skeleton of a childhood, because that window opens once, and for every one of us, it shut decades ago. A true Viking body doesn't start in a gym at 25. It starts at 6, with a life, not a program. Some of you know this in your own bones, quite literally. If you grew up on a farm, in a trade, or doing hard graft before you were fully grown, you are still carrying the results. In your grip, your back, the way your body took to work that softer bodies never could. That strength was laid down early, and it stayed. I'd love to hear from the ones who lived it. What work did you do young, and what did it leave in your body that you can still feel today? Those stories are the best thing this community shares, so drop yours below. Now, the moment everything in this story has been building toward. Somewhere in Norway, around 1,000 years ago, a man's forearm snaps. Maybe a shield blow, maybe a horse, maybe wet timber sliding the wrong way. The bone does not care. In our world, that man gets a cast, a surgeon, months of physiotherapy, and a clipboard tracking every week of it. In his world, there is a splint of wood and cloth, whatever the household knows about setting a limb, and the farm waiting outside, because the animals do not stop being hungry while he heals. By every modern rule, that should be the end of his working life. And yet, when we open Viking graves, the skeletons tell a story that genuinely startles the people studying them. Healed fractures everywhere. Arms, ribs, collarbones, legs, snapped and then knitted back together and lived on. You can see it on the bone itself, the old fracture line, and wrapped around it a thick collar of new growth where the body rebuilt itself straight across the break. These men did not just survive their injuries, they mended and went back to the oar. How is that possible without a single doctor? Everything this video has shown you, working at once. bone so dense it had reserves to heal from, a table loaded with the protein and calcium that fracture repair burns through, and a frame conditioned since childhood to absorb damage rather than dodge it. The system that built the body was the same system that repaired it. And here is the thought that flips the whole story on its head. We assume the modern athlete's body is the superior one, and for raw, optimized performance, it usually is. But optimization arrives with a bill, and the bill is fragility. A modern elite body is a specialist, propped up by an entire support system, and one bad break can park it for the better part of a year with the finest care money can buy. The Viking body had none of that protection, and it mended anyway. Sit with that for a second. A fracture that would shelve a professional athlete for a full season, healed with no doctor, no scan, no rehab plan, and the man climbed back into a boat and rowed. That is not a superior body by our measurements. It is a tougher one, built to survive a hit the modern body is engineered to never once take. There is one piece left, and it is the piece nobody ever mentions, because it has nothing to do with work at all. It is about the dark. Modern sport has finally admitted something almost embarrassing, which is that the body does not get stronger during training. It gets stronger during recovery, while you sleep. So today's athletes chase sleep like it is a trophy, with trackers, blackout rooms, and glasses that filter the light off their own phones. And Erling Haaland famously guards his sleep about as fiercely as he guards his diet. Now picture the Vikings' winter. The brutal pace of the farming season is over. The boats are ashore, and outside the longhouse the northern night has swallowed most of the day. Inside there is a fire, wool and hours upon hours of darkness with nothing demanding to be done. His body, wrecked by a summer of labor, finally gets its long repair season, deep unbroken sleep in true darkness, night after night, exactly the conditions modern recovery science tries to fake with technology. An elite athlete today spends a small fortune on blackout blinds and a cooling mattress to earn what the Viking got for free. By living somewhere, the sun basically gave up and went home in October. And that may be the quietest lesson in the whole story. The same life that broke the body down all summer also forced it to rebuild all winter. Work built the body. Darkness kept it. Nobody planned that balance, and almost nobody today can afford it. Put the two bodies side by side one last time, the athlete and the Viking, because they are two answers to the same question. What is a body for? The modern answer is optimization. Take one body, point it at one task, wrap it in science, and sharpen performance to a razor's edge. Magnificent, specialized, and breakable. The Viking answer ran the other way. Build a body that can do everything, load it from childhood, protect it with almost nothing, and make it durable enough to outlast a world with no safety net at all. One is a scalpel, the other is an anvil. We chose the scalpel, and we gained wonders for it. But somewhere in the trade we set down the anvil, that deep, stubborn durability of a frame shaped by a hard life and simply expected to endure. The Viking did not have a better body than we do. He had a harder life, and he met it with everything he had. If you would rather understand these people than cartoon them, how they truly lived, worked, and endured, you are already in the right place. Stick around and subscribe. There is a great deal more of this to come. And as I finish this, the great-grandchildren of those rowers are sitting on football pitches across America, pulling imaginary oars to a drumbeat, rowing their way through a World Cup. For them, It is a celebration. For their ancestors, it was survival. The bodies have changed, but the rhythm remembers, and your own body is still waiting to find out what it was built to do.